I want to hear you say your name. Your name is Toby. What's your name?
Kunta.
Lord God help that boy. They're gonna whip him dead.
What's your name? Say it! Toby! Who are you? Say your name. What's your name?
Toby.
Hi. Say it again. Say it louder so they all can hear you. What's your name?
Toby. My name is Toby.
Hi. That's a good nigger. Cut him down.
Alright, Shalom. First, let's start by saying all praise to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. Double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well. And salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth with sincerity. Now, this is basically going to be like another segment to the institutionalized racism. I'm going to a couple different topics, on that subject. The brother I9 in the camp, he had a GMS motivation titled Institutionalized Racism, and go into it. And, I just want to go into it a little bit more, But I'm going to start with this book, and everybody know this book, but not everybody has read this book. This is the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave. Now, this is part of institutionalized racism, man. So I'm going to start on page 5. It says the Willie Lynch letter. It says, "Gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies. West Indies was Benjamin, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods of control of slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented." Right, institutionalized slavery. And he was already experimenting, Slakia, on Benjamin. The Spanish settled in Jamaica in 1509. All right, it says, as our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, which King James was an Israelite, black man of the tribe of Judah, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its old highway in great numbers, you here are using the tree and the rope on occasion. I caught a whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple of miles back. You are not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. I am here to introduce to you a method of solving them. Right, so he was trying to basically control the mind, because it being institutionalized. Okay, now let me continue. It says, In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. Yep, and it did. And it still controlled them. It says, my method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseers can use it. You know, and we're in the time of Jake waking up now, though, because of the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shad. It says, I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger, right? Called divide and conquer. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies. And you know, if they broke up Benjamin, who are a pack of wolves, you know, wolves stick together, they hunt in packs, man. They have what's called, I think, dens, you know. And yeah, they have what's called dens. They hunt in packs. If they can break up Benjamin, then they can break up Judah. Because Judah, what, lion? They lions. And the lion is about his pride, you know, in his space. You know, the king of the jungle, man. Individually, you know. But it says, these methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Okay. Let me back up a little bit. I'm gonna back up to the part where it says, I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. Let me see. Yeah, and that's how he what he used to control the slaves, man. You know, he had instilled that in his slave owners. But not only did he instill that in the slave owners, you had the Uncle Tom slaves who they instilled it in. And actually, they instilled it in all Jake. Like I said, divide and conquer, man. But his ultimate intentions was to control, to bring forth more stock of slaves, to bring forth more product, institutionalized slavery, bring forth more crops, you know, make themselves rich, you know, off our backs and shit, man. But this is let me see. This is Psalms chapter 55, verse 20. It says, nope, 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. Right, so how they put us against each other, they used them same tactics, man. Not only did he use them on his, for the slave owners, he used them for us, man. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Right, man. And you know how the slave master, you know, used to instill that the distrust, the envy, and the fear in Jake, you know, to keep them under control. And you know what they would do is they would uplift certain slaves. When you get into the rest of the book, it's gonna show you how they was breaking slaves, tying Jake to horses and everything. That's part of the fear that they used. Distrust. They headed to where just like how Esau played good cop, bad cop today. That's how they was doing it back in the day also, man, between us and shit, man. That's his words being smoother than butter, though, man. But there was actually war on his side because ultimately he was trying to kill off certain slaves with the methods. He did kill off certain slaves with the methods. He was trying to really destroy us and bring us up under his ultimate means of control, man. All right, it says, take this simple list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but it is there only because it starts with an A. The second is color, right? So they use age against us. They use color or shade. There is intelligence. They use that against us. They still use it against us now with these uppity niggas or these niggas in these colleges thinking they smarter than, their parents who didn't go to college and shit, man. Size, I'm bigger than you, bigger, stronger, faster mentality. Sex, so they use sex, status on the plantation, see? Attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on a hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, yup, or is tall or short. Now that ye have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, so divide and conquer. And envy is stronger than adulteration, respect, or admiration. So, but yeah, man, Slakia. Just open up another can of worms. A lot of stuff, came in my head behind that. But I'm just going and bring out the scripture. This Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother. Right. Meaning at one point in time we had brotherly love, but now we hate each other, man. And that goes for the Latin tribes and the Native American and Indian tribes also, man. On the plantation where Jake was at, man, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, we was always, into it. Like he said, he was fear, distrust. He said envy is stronger than adulteration, respect, admiration. So, some of the slaves got lifted up on purpose just so the slaves who don't get the same privilege was to hate them. And then, you had the fighting slaves that, like I said, the privilege, the Mandingo.
Please have a seat. The pleasure's all mine.
Get free man Django here whatever he wants. And I'll have sweet tea and bourbon.
He's not doing what I told him, for God's sake.
Bravo Luigi, così, dai! Dai che sei più rapido!
Come on now, boy! There's a fight to the death! You either hit him or you ain't!
Mettilo con le spalle al tappeto, giù!
Big Fred, come on! Turn him around, now! You just straight for! Come on now, you just straight for! There you go! There you go! Look at that! See, I told you I was around here. Do what I told you, boy! There you go!
No!
Do what I told you! Grab him back, boy! Grab him back!
Oh no, Luigi!
Finish him.
That's why they call him Big Fred. Worth every penny.
You had the slaves that always was in the field, always working, and who produced more crop that was going against the ones that weren't producing too much. Man, it was a lot of chaos, man. You know, but how did they brought order through that chaos, man? They was able to control them slaves that way, man. Okay, it says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother and toward the wife of his bosom. And that's not only did that happen back then, and how Jake was working on the plantation and stuff. It happened today, at our jobs and stuff. How you got, Jake envying each other, trying to surpass each other, trying to compete, getting into it with each other behind job and money and, being flunkies up under their bosses and shit for promotions and, getting their brothers fired and shit like that. Or getting other Judites fired or, any one of the tribes, man. Not only that, gang banging and all that shit. And then not only that, you got it to where they got the society broke up into classes: middle class, lower class, upper class, and don't nobody want to help each other. Lower class want to get rob and kill the upper class to get to where they at and stuff like that. The upper class don't want to put their money to no businesses and nothing to help bring their people up because the white man on their ass, or they just don't like niggas, but they're part of that campaign of keeping Jake down from the beginning. So, that all fits into that category, man. It says, and toward the wife of his bosom, right? Jake them don't want to take care of their kids also, and they hate their women, cursing their women out, cursing their women out, bitch, slut, all this, beating their women and shit. Another prime example is Jake will have a woman or something, and you probably get tired of her. You're supposed to keep your woman unto death and shit. To be honest with you, but Jake and them have it to where they start selling their women and shit. It's all type of madness going on out there, man. It says, and taught the remnant of his children which he shall leave. Right, and that goes the fathers leaving the homes and stuff, man. All right, it says, the black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands, right? So all they did was kept us away from each other, kept us from helping each other build each other, to keep us broke down, man. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee, right? And that's slavery, in hunger, right? I always was hungry. We didn't have too much no food. And in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things, right? And he shall put a yoke of iron, slavery, upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee, right? And that word destroyed, they actually literally destroyed us, killed us off, and more so destroyed us, meaning we don't have no structure, man, in Israel, man. We don't have the laws, the statutes, and commandments. We are totally broken down, man. As a people, stand for nothing, fall for everything. But it says, don't forget you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male, going back to Deuteronomy 28 and 54. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. They even had it to where Jake was hunting Jake down in them days, man. Overseeing Jake behind being in the fields and shit, man. And they took on that badge proudly. Them funky ass Uncle Tom ass niggas, man. And them same dudes in these armies, these generals and shit, man. These police officers. But it is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us, right? So don't trust each other. Depend on the white man. That's how the government is set up now today, man. We go and depend on the white man to deliver you from all these weak ass situations that we be in and shit, because we don't want to adhere to the law, statutes, and commandments, man. They must love, respect, and trust us only, right? This is Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. That's what Jake do, man. They add sin to sin by going to this white man for their aid, their assistance, to help, through these food stamp programs, WIC programs, stuff of that nature. Ultimately, that's leading up to the RFID chip too, though, man, because Jake them gonna trust in this white man and his system over trusting in the Lord, man. It says that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt, right? In this modern day Egypt, or modern day America, is a split replica of Egypt through its philosophies. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 31, verse 1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. Right. Woe to them that trust in America. And stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, right? Going back to their police force, their armies, Salakia, and in horsemen, because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. Right, Yahweh, they don't seek the Most High, man. They trust in this white man and his military might. Yet he also, right, and this is reincarnation. So them same ones that was taken up for this white man being taskmasters over us, or being up in their army from Rome up until now, same people, man. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil, and will not call back his words, but arise against the house of the evildoers, and against the help of them that work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men, and not the Most High, and their horses flesh, and not spirit. When the Lord Yahweh shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoppling shall fall down, and they all shall fail together. Right. So, man, in that day when Yahweh Shai come back, or when Yahweh send Yahweh Shai back, he gonna fuck up these Edomites and their army, because it's spiritual. This is a spiritual. It's gonna be spiritual power versus their carnality, man. And those that join sides with them gonna be put to death with them. All right, it says, gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and your children use them. Right. That's why the scriptures say, never trust thine enemy. Because not only was this white Edomite devil man getting at us, his kids was getting at us, and still are, and they women are getting at us, and still are, man. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. Right. So, they stood together. They came under one banner to keep us mentally asleep and broke down spiritually and physically, man. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. Thank you, gentlemen. Right. So, okay, that was, the first segment of this video. All praise to Yahweh Shema Shai. Double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth with sincerity. Shalom.